Good afternoon. Well, this is the day it's supposed to rain. It's going to rain this afternoon and tonight. So I took advantage of it and I sprayed the sheet metal. And yesterday, off camera, I taped the corners. All right, it didn't come out too bad. One can. I covered up the writing I had in here. And I just taped up here because it was rusty. And I'm not going to worry about it if water gets in there. I don't think water's going to get in there because this pop rivets is going to be very unlikely that water's going to get inside there now. And I think it came out pretty good. And like I say, I taped up the corners. Now there's going to be wood, like I said, over the top of this anyhow. So when I pull down the fabric's going to be pulled down over here and then stapled to the underside of the 2x2 that's going to go across here and down on each side. I used the whole can. It's $2.69 for this at my hardware store. I could buy the Rust-Oleum, but they want like almost $6 a can for it. So this does all right. And then I bought Exo Rust. It's $4.49 a can. It's $5.29 for the Rust-Oleum. This is hunter green, just like that. And this I'm going to use to paint the wood, which I've got in the shed. Okay, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to bring all the wood out from the shed. I'm going to paint them by hand. I'm not going to get fussy with primer and all that crap. I'm just going to paint them. And they'll have to be cut to size because these are just cut a couple inches longer than I need them. And then when I get them cut, I'll just paint the edges. This is not pressure treated wood, of course, so I don't want to put bare wood up there. The cloth I'm sure is not waterproof. So it's going to be moisture all the time on it. So if I put a coat of paint on here today, rains tonight, no big deal because I'll just bring these into the shed later on when it looks like it's going to start raining. So that's my project for today, which was originally, nothing was going to get done today because it was supposed to rain. Okay, I got two sides painted, and that's all I can do until I can turn them over when they dry. And so if I get one coat of paint on all four sides, I'll be happy. So that's all I'm going to do today. But don't go away because I may be working on this tomorrow, which is Saturday. And just be ready. All right. I got one coat on them, all four sides, and we are ready to apply the wood to the edges. I've got to drag out some tools now, and let's get started. All right. I painted these yesterday afternoon, late afternoon, probably around 4:30, 5 o'clock, with a second coat. And I had to wait for these to dry. Now it's 12:15 in the afternoon here, Saturday, and it rains. So some of you have asked, where's part two? Well, I couldn't do anything yesterday. It was supposed to rain, but it didn't rain until after dark. So what I did during yesterday is I painted these. And it dries pretty quick. So as you can see, there's water on them. I got to dry them off. Then I got to get my chop saw out. And we're going to mount them. First of all, I want to address a comment made by my good friend Don, I'm a junk collector, who says this is too much work. Off camera, I bought a can of green spray paint. Before that, I used electrical tape. Now, I could buy Gorilla Tape. He suggested Gorilla Tape. Yes, Gorilla Tape is good, but it's very wide, and I needed to get into tight places, and electrical tape works good. I've got a whole bunch of it from Harbor Freight. I bought a 10-pack, and I went over the tubing here, and then I painted it all green, and smooth the edges out. Now, I also just quickly touched up the paint on the top of here. Too much work, Don says. Don tells me I should just get a blue tarpaulin and put over the top of it. Well, sure, I could have done that. I didn't forget that, you know. That'd look like hell, you know. It would look like hell. It doesn't have to be waterproof. You're not going to sit out here in the rain, at least wise. I wouldn't think you would. All this top does is keep the sun off your head when you get a hot, humid day, hot, sunny day, or whatever. And this thing is, you know, it's going to need work. But overall, the frame is in good shape. If I start going out and I buy all this stuff and this and that, it's going to cost me more than it's worth. To get something like this, it's going to pay at least $200 or more, unless I get it used. I've had it for a good 10 years, and not all of us have deep pockets. Anyways, on with the project. All right, 5 inches from the end, 25 inches, 25 here to here, so 50 inches. We got 3 holes. I put the tape in there so I can see where to drill. The hardest part is going to be to drill in the tubing, like I was having trouble here getting the drill through, because you can't use a prick punch on this because it's too wobbly. So you need a solid piece of metal. In other words, this moves too much to start it with a prick punch. So I done this on both sides. Now we're going to get the drill out and drill the hole, and the holes are going to be drilled right straight through, because the wood is going on the outside and the screw goes from the inside into the wood. All right, we're going to start out with a 3/32 bit. This is a Home Depot special. Start out with a small one, and then we'll go with the larger one once we get this going. And we're just about straight in here. Alright, that's just through the outside wall right now. These bits were in a set for $3 I bought last year at Home Depot, because I break off the little ones. I had Milwaukee bits, and I got a good set of Hanson bits, but I'd rather use the cheaper ones, because if I snap them off, sometimes they get a little rambunctious and push too hard on the drill. So we're going to go through the second half of the tubing here. May not be the best bits in the world. Alright, we're going to continue doing this all the way down the line, and then we'll step up to not quite sure what size bit, enough to get a sheetrock screw, galvanized sheetrock screw going in the back end here and coming out into the wood. So we'll do that part off camera.
I'll give you a close-up of this one here. I drilled the center hole. I'm working on this one. The tape seems to help a lot from the slippage. So far I didn't need a foot punch. See my level. Okay, I'm going through the first wall. Very good.
So I'll give you another view of me drilling the other side. I got all 3 of these small holes drilled on the back side. Now we're going to go to the front side. Where else on YouTube would you find, hello there, where else on YouTube would you find a blow-by-blow description on every damn single thing I do on a project? Too much work, Don says. Well, it may be, but I like building things, and I like building things out of stuff that people throw away. There's too much waste in this world. Don, you should know that. You're a junk collector.
Going through the first wall. We're drilling a hole in the tubing. We're drilling a hole in the tubing. We're drilling a hole. We're drilling a hole. We're drilling a hole in the tubing.
All right, all the small holes have been drilled, so now we don't need the tape. That was just for guidance. Take off the tape. And we'll get the larger bit that'll accommodate the sheetrock screw. And I'll have to find out what size that will be. You don't need to watch me drill that. After I get these holes drilled to the proper size for the screws, we'll work on the end panel over here, because we're going to find out where the wood is in relation to the wood coming out here. The wood's coming out here. I'm giving you the finger, by the way. Wood coming out here and the wood coming out here. Hopefully they'll meet here, but there may be a little problem here. But after all, I'm not building this to sell to somebody. I'm building it for myself. All right, so we got the second hole drilled, and we come in from the back and go into the wood about 3/4 of an inch, maybe a hair more. These are 1 5/8 inches. The tubing I'm estimating is about 1/2 inch, and the wood is 1.5 inches. So we're good to go. But before, what we're going to do here, get you back a little bit more here, I'm going to temporarily screw in a scrap piece of wood in here, bring it out so I know where to put the side piece wood. Hopefully it lines up pretty evenly. So if it does, then I can drill a hole and put a screw in. Now, I don't have any galvanized 1 5/8 inches. I'd have to go out and buy that. That's more money. You might be laughing at me, but you know, every dollar counts. And $4 or $5 here, $6 here, $3 here, it adds up. So these are not galvanized. These are just black sheetrock screws. So it's all right. By the time this rots away, I'll be long dead. Okay. this is the piece I'm going to use. This is the 48-inch long one. That end down there is going to have to be cut off. And temporarily I put this extra piece in here, just the scrap piece I should say, and used a couple of wire ties to hold it on the bar. And there's one screw part way in. So what I want to do is to get these corners out. Now naturally it's not going to be, it should be square. So I guess I could move this out a little. But I got this clamped tight. So when I drill through this metal on the inside, I'll be screwing this in place. What I wanted to do is to cut this to size with the chop saw, rather than to try to put it on and then saw it in place, because it's rickety, you know. So this is why I got to get these measurements exactly right. So this is centered on the pipe. Top and bottom the same spacing. I can feel it all along here. And putting a screw in here into the piece that I'm going to be using, that'll hold that together. But nothing happens until I drill in this sheet metal here, put the screws in to mount this. So before I can do that, I got to get the length where I have to cut it off. So I got to make another temporary piece on the other side there. I'll do that off camera. All right, this is the piece I'm going to use, the green one here, for the end cap. I got it flushed out as best I can. It's not a perfect square, but the first thing we're going to do is we're going to drill the holes for the screws. And we're going to do it with the wood in here, because when the drill bit hits, I'll stop once it hits the wood, and that'll be the marking of it when I put it back on, because I got to take this down and cut it on the chop saw. I don't want to cut it on here, too rickety. So the first hole we're going to make is right here. Okay, that's the first hole. You're a little crooked here, but that's all right. I'm sure you can see what's going on. Now you see, I got this temporary piece here, just held up with wire ties, and I need to cut this green wood off. But like I say, I want to use the chop saw. So first of all, I'm going to drill the holes up in here for the screws, and that will enable me to put this back on precisely. Then, after I get this end cap on, I'll repeat my end camera. I can't see. We'll repeat the process on this side, and then we'll work on the middle long pieces. All right, I got the piece in and adjusted so that it's got the hole drilled in it. Put the screw through it, and now I'm working on the other end. Coming even with this. We'll clamp this so this draws this tight. We're flushed out here. We'll clamp it all through here because the metal is flexible, but it won't be once this is on there. And we'll cut at this end. Alright, so I'm going to mount this now with the clamp. Two pairs of hands here. Kind of guessing right now. Oh yeah, we're flushed right there. Tighten that. And this is centered. This temporary piece here is centered. Okay. We'll clamp this end. Temporary. Not sure exactly where we got to be yet. All right, this is just temporary. We got to bring this out more. This is only, like I say, a temporary piece. But in order to find out how long this piece has got to actually be, because I had it rough cut at 63 inches, the long piece, that's going to go in here. Not this one. This is just a measuring stick, so to speak. Once this is clamped tight to the metal as much as I can, which I'll do a little more work on, then I can determine how long this is, and it'll come right up to here, and then I'll drill a hole in here. Now over on this end it's the same way. I'll show you over here. See how I did this one? This is all evened out. I'm not worried about button up. It was already butted up there. It just got pushed back when I drilled this. So this is permanently mounted. This is screwed in right in through here. And because it's not perfect, I had to put the screws down at an angle because otherwise it would come up through the top of the wood. Okay, so I'll continue on this. I'll get this all leveled out and everything clamped where I want it to be. And drilled in the back. I won't videotape that part. And get this permanently mounted like on the other side. And then we'll work on the long pieces. Alright, I got them all screwed in. Now we can cut off this, that. We just got to drill the hole for the screw to go into the piece, and then we get the long pieces. These holes are drilled already, so we'll get the long pieces and we'll cut them to the length, and we'll paint the ends here. All right, so the way I got this, it comes right out flush with that. It's not necessarily square to it though, but I'm not going to worry too much about that. That's all going to be underneath the fabric anyhow. Yes, it's a lot of work, and maybe I could have Mickey Moused it, put tarpaulin over it. That's Mickey Mousing things. I do a lot of Mickey Mouses in my videos. It's time I did the job so it'll last a little while. The only thing that'll go on this probably is the cloth, and all I got to do is cut it off. It's all going to be stapled up underneath the wood and going around here. I don't even know if I'm going to be able to get the cloth on here today, because I got a late start because it was raining this morning. This is Saturday. I had to wait for the paint to dry on those boards over there, so yesterday was not a very productive day. So I hope I don't have to run into a part 3. We will see. Alright, I hope you can see everything. This is the piece that was cut 63. Had to cut longer. So it's going in like that. And what I'm going to do is mark it. Add a blade width to the length of it. I can always shave it if I have to. Okay, and we'll cut this off. We'll join you in a minute. This is the 3-ring circus. Cable ties just to hold the wood in place. Well, I pre-drill so I can get my screws in to the wood, and before I can do that I got to paint the ends of the 63-inch piece, which I cut down about 1.5 inches off of. So the dimensions are not exactly the same. On the other side it's about 1/2 inch longer, so it's always good to start out with a longer piece, because you can always cut it off but you cannot put it back on. Remember that. Now I got a pre-drill with a very fine bit, because I want to hand screw these in. Let's get one screw in there. 1 5/8. Careful of the ends, they're painted. I couldn't get the damn drill bit all the way in. Okay. What I'm going to do on the end here is I'm going to use my D.I.Y power driver with a square bit and put a 2.5 inch screw in each end of this after I get these finished here. I'm going to pre-drill the rest of these holes. You don't need to watch me do that. Okay, these are galvanized, I guess. There's special screws. There's square drive for my D.I.Y here that I'm using. So we're going to, I don't know if you can see without my big body in the way here. Just get you a little closer here. We're lined up as much as we can. We're not perfect, but I'm not going to worry about it. Perfect. Perfect. We'll do the same on the other side. And going in straight. Good. Alright, it's not perfect. It's not square to the thing. It's the best I can do. All right, she's all in. I just got to paint this. I painted the inside and I painted the ends of this again. I'll just take this off. These are handy. You waste them by doing this, but when you're trying to clamp on a pipe, clamps don't work very well. All right, now what I got to do is come over and touch these ends up. I'm not going to worry about the fact that they're square. I'm going to take a wood rasp before I paint them, and I'm going to round off a little bit on here. And one other thing here I want to show, and that's this here. Alright, when I do the fabric, I want to be able to get at this. Normally you just come over with the fabric and go, but then you won't be able to adjust this. So what I have to do, and I don't want to buy. That's all I'm doing is spending money. I want to take and put a bolt in there. Have it stick out. Cut a hole in the fabric. The bolt will hold this. So I don't need to cut a big hole in the fabric to get this. But this is a mongrel. This has got to be damn metric. Because 1/4 inch won't work. 3/8 too big. It's like a 1/4 inch nut will go on here only part way. The thread is different. It's got to be damn metric. So I need a temporary bolt in each end just to hold this up, because without that, see, you got to have that in there. Because if I don't get the temporary bolt in there, what's going to happen is I'm going to have to cut the fabric around this knob, and I'm going to have a big hole in the fabric. which don't look good. I'll have a small hole, the diameter of the bolt, if I can have 2 small bolts sticking out without the knob on them, temporarily to hold this on so that I can cut and push the bolt through the hole. Once that happens, then I can put this back on. You get my drift? I'll give you a walk around here. Now I want to round this off a little with the wood rasp and then hit the corners with paint. And I'm not going to get the fabric on today. Tomorrow's Sunday, I might be able to do it, because when I paint this, I don't want, I've got paint on my hands now from handling everything. So, but you see what, by putting this on, how nice and rigid that is, and I can still adjust it here. So I got a little trimming to do here. It's not perfect. This wood was a little bit twisted. I picked out the straightest pieces, but obviously I didn't get a piece straight enough. So I'm going to do this off camera, and the next part, I hope it isn't a part 3, but it could very well be, I'll be putting the fabric on. So that's it. This could be the end of part 2.